So the new teaser trailer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem dropped today. And after the cast and characters got revealed at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards a couple days ago, the biggest question was, would the teaser trailer live up to the hype that this movie's been getting for the past year, and would it live up to the hype that the reveal of the cast and characters kind of added on to it at the Kids' Choice Awards? Well, honestly, I could say that it basically did. It actually, did live up to that hype. Now, of course, the key thing we have to remind ourselves here is this is a teaser trailer. It's a teaser trailer. Basically, it's giving us an idea of what to expect, from the film, but also giving us an idea of what to expect when the full-on trailer premieres later this spring, if not early summer. I would assume around maybe San Diego Comic-Con. But with that said, the overall consensus for this film, even when it was first announced, and we kind of got like these still images of what the animation style may look like, the overall consensus is that it's inspired by the animation from Spider-Man from the Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse. That is what the overall consensus was. And when you look at the trailer, you could definitely see that. You could definitely see that it is indeed inspired by the animation from that film. But what is the overall gist that I get from this? Like, what is the overall feeling I get from this film, going forward? Well, being a longtime fan myself, what I get from this, even after watching, different incarnations of the TMNT, the feeling and vibe I get from this is it's another reboot. It's another retelling of the origin. The only catch is this time around, not only do you have actual teenagers voicing the characters, the TMNT, if you will, which would allow for more, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? More leeway to mess around with. In other words, allow for more range in the future, because you would allow these actual teenagers that are voicing them to grow up, and thus, by extension, have the characters that they're voicing grow up with them. What I get from this as well is, based on the title, the reason it's called Mutant Mayhem is I think what they're going for here in this reboot and retelling is that not just with April, but all the other characters they're going to be encountering, like Rocksteady and Bebop, like Mondo Gecko, Ray Fillet, Ringnut, Leatherhead, you name it. A lot of these characters are going to be associated with the TMNT from the start. So in other words, instead of encountering them, let's say in the prime of their careers, or in the prime of their lives, or as they're going from teenagers to adults, they're going to know who these characters are from the very first time they start crime fighting. So in other words, and like I said, outside of April, you're going to have them, encountering Ringnut. You're going to have them encountering Mondo Gecko, Leatherhead, you name it. You're going to have them encountering them, Ray Fillet. You're going to have them encountering them from the get-go, so that if, if this franchise, continues on, like we get more movies out of this, when we see the characters, as I mentioned, grow up literally along with the voice actors that are voicing them, you're establishing with this first film that the mutants they will encounter are going to grow up with them. April is going to grow up with them, because what it looks like here with April is she's not a TV reporter. It looks like she is going to be a teenager herself, maybe even a college freshman. That's the vibe I'm getting here. She's either going to be a teenager, a little older, or around the same age as the Turtles, but maybe even around the age of a college freshman. That's the vibe I'm getting with April here. That she's going to be around that age range, maybe a bit older. So, it'll be really interesting how they play with her character when it comes to this film. Now, like I said, the way they got this set up, from what I can tell, from what I'm seeing, is it's going to basically, from a continuity standpoint, allow the characters to grow up with all the other characters they encounter and vice versa. Now, one thing that really, I think, got a lot of people wondering, as we know, when the cast and crew were announced, and I wanted to wait till the teaser trailer came out to touch upon this, is you got, a lot of established voice actor, not voice actors, but a lot of established celebrities doing the voices. Like I said, one of the big reveals, Jackie Chan being Master Splinter, John Cena being Rocksteady, Seth Rogen, of course, he's behind the film, production and direction wise. Seth Rogen's going to be Bebop. But then you got, Ice Cube as Superfly, which is good. But then you got two female actresses voicing established male characters. Now, I can't think of the names right now. You'll probably see them flash up here on the screen. But when I look at the fact that Wingnut, who is an established male character, when I see Leatherhead, who is an established female, not Leatherhead, but who's Leatherhead, who is an established male character as well. That's what I was trying to say. I'm sorry about that. Almost lost my train of thought there. But when you look at the fact that you have two established actresses voicing these characters, one, you would say, well, the lady that's voicing Leatherhead has an Australian accent, and maybe she has more range than what's being led on, so that might open, open some possibilities to where this incarnation of Leatherhead is going to be Australian. That might be true. Then you have Wingnut. Wingnut, again, like I said, is an established male character. But Wingnut is also being voiced by a female. Now, some people might say, well, that doesn't matter. As long as they can voice the character and make them sound unique and everything, it doesn't matter if it's a female or a male voicing them. And I do agree. It doesn't matter, as long as they can give a good performance. But I think the other thing we need to take away from this, overall, is the fact that not only is this a retelling of the origin, not only is this a reboot, of the origin, a reboot, of the franchise, but we also have to look at it from the perspective that has been established for years, if not a decade, that this is another alternate universe. That's right. This is a new addition to the TMNT multiverse. That's right. That's what this is. That's what this is. So what we can get out of this is that in this universe, the likes of Leatherhead and Wingnut, I say it with all due respect because I could be wrong. But in this universe, Leatherhead and Wingnut could be female. Think about that. Most of their incarnations, most of their interpretations, they have been male. So why not change that up and make them female? And you know what? It's not the first time that would happen. It's not. I mean, let's go back to Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange film in the MCU. Everybody got upset that, the Ancient One or whatever was being played by a female actress, even though in the comics it was established that the Ancient One was always male. But here you had a female, actress portraying the character because basically the reasoning is because the Ancient One could be anything or anyone. Basically non-binary, if you will. So by establishing that fact, they were able to get around that. Now, with that said though, when you apply that to, let's say, TMNT, if you will, any franchises like them, you could basically argue the fact that, one, again, the voicing of the character shouldn't matter as long as it's a good, interpretation, which I do agree. But on the other hand, when you look at it from the concept of multiverse perspective, alternate universe perspective, when you look at it from that scenario, basically, Leatherhead and Wingnut, being voiced by female actresses, and maybe, keyword there, by default, being female interpretations of the original versions, would not be, that far of a shot anymore. Would not be that far of an impossibility. Because we've seen that numerous times. I mean, I don't know if they're still working on it or not, but the talked about, rumored, and maybe in pre-production Plastic Man film is going to be a female-led film. Which means basically we'd be getting a Plastic Woman film instead of Plastic Man. And there's nothing wrong with that. If they want to go the multiverse direction with that story, there's nothing wrong with that. If they're still doing it. That's the thing. So to me, when I see that Leatherhead and Wingnut are being voiced by two established female actresses, that either tells me, one, they have vocal range that can be indistinguishable, for the characters. In other words, the characters could be male, but these actresses could have vocal range that, basically makes it sound like, hey, is it male? Is it female? Is it in between? We don't know. That's one thing. And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe that's the direction they're going for. But secondly, again, and probably in my opinion the most likely, and I say it with all due respect, no offense, the most likely is you're looking at not just an alternate universe, another new addition to the TMNT multiverse with this film, but in addition, you're looking at potentially female interpretations of Leatherhead and Wingnut. That's what you're looking at. That is what you're looking at here. But outside of that, I think the voice cast they got for the characters that are going to be in the film, I think is a great choice. I'm not going to deny that. Them going with teenagers to voice the TMNT so that simultaneously, if they do more films and spin-offs, that these actors can grow up with the characters simultaneously. Outside of them bringing together what I feel is a great cast. Overall, this teaser trailer, like I said, I think it did its job. It's got people talking and all that, and I cannot wait to see what the full-on trailer is going to look like in the late spring, early summer. Latest projection for that, I believe, would be around San Diego Comic-Con. Again, that's just me. But overall, I think it did its job, and I will give the movie a chance. I will check it out, see what it's like, and go from there. I mean, again, it is a unique take on the TMNT. There is no doubt. It's a nice, unique take on the retelling of the origin and rebooting of the franchise for a new generation. But overall, when I look at this, like I said, the thing I take away from it is, it is basically another alternate version of the Turtles. It's another alternate universe version of the Turtles. Thus, basically, in my opinion, placing this in another part of the vast TMNT multiverse. That's what I think. That's what I think and believe. Because again, when you look at how things are portrayed and showcased, how characters are going to be, potentially sounding like and everything, and the fact that they're basing this around when the Turtles first, start doing the crime fight and everything, outside of the ninja skills, you have to wonder. You have to wonder, basically the fact that this is more along the lines, like I said, of a retelling that allows the characters to grow up with all these other mutants they're going to encounter and not just meet them like in the prime of their careers. That's what I was trying to say before I lost my train of thought there. I do apologize. It's early and I got to get ready for work today. The bus schedules, the new ones just started yesterday, so it's going to take a little adjusting to, so you have to understand where I'm coming from there. But anyway, to back on track here, You know, again, I'm willing to give the movie a chance and everything. You know, you could definitely, again, you know, I like the premise, I really do, but, and all that, but like I said, the ultimate vibes I'm getting from this is multiverse vibes. That's what I'm getting. This is just another one that takes place in an alternate universe. And by taking place in an alternate universe, you know, you could play around a lot more with the origin and how the TMNT come to meet April, come to meet all these other mutants and everything. You know, you can mess around with that, you know, a lot. You can mess around with it a lot. So, anyway, though, guys, I know I sounded like I rambled a little bit throughout this. I do apologize. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how you feel about the TMNT Mutant Mayhem movie. Do you like the fact that the animation style is inspired, you know, by the likes of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? You know, give me your thoughts there on that. How do you feel about the fact that this is just a, you know, another retelling of the origin, a rebooting of the franchise somewhat? What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about the fact that the retelling of the origin is going to establish that the TMNT, you know, not only know April from a young age, but also the fact that they know mutant characters like Mondo Gecko, Ray Fillet, you know, Wingnut, Leatherhead, you know, from the beginning. Let me know what your thoughts are there. Let me know how you feel about two female actresses voicing Leatherhead and Wingnut. Do you think it's going to establish that in this universe, Leatherhead and Wingnut are female? Or do you think maybe they will, or do you think it's not going to really matter? It's more about the vocal range to be that they could basically play with to be indistinguishable to, you know, how the characters are going to look on film. What are your thoughts? You know, do you think, you know, they might be non-binary? Do you think they'll keep them male, but like I said, the vocal range will be indistinguishable? What are your thoughts? Or do you think they might be female in this version? Let me know. Love to hear from each and every one of you on that. You know, and yeah, but overall, give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts, guys. You'll get an audio podcast version of this later at my BW Roses Discussions podcast at all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also, support me at BW Roses at patreon.com. Says BW Roses for the $1, $3 tier. Also, VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube. Also, check me out at Venmo at Brian-Walmer-2 and Cash App at BW Roses98 to help me out financially there. Also, click on the icon in the upper left-hand corner to check out my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. And at DeviantArt, check me out there at DeviantArt.com at BVW1979. But guys, give me your overall feelings. How do you feel about this? You know, how do you feel about those, you know, cast choices to voice characters? You know, where do you think it's going to, you know, how do you think it's going to represent certain characters? Let me know down below and in the live chat. Also, what do you think about the art style? And how do you feel about the fact that, you know, the overall feeling, you know, about this film, from what I can tell, is it's just another retelling of the origin, rebooting of the franchise, but also the fact that by being such, it more or less intends to lead itself into the fact that it's a multiverse story. In other words, it's an alternate, you know, alternate universe story take on the TMNT. Let me know down below, and until next time, I'll talk to y'all later.